Within ICANN structures, the GNSO is a critical supporting organization. We develop the policy in and around generic names. We refer those policies to the ICANN board, and the board then has the opportunity to accept that policy or reject that policy. One of the things the board does before doing so is it considers advice from ICANN's advisory committees. A critical advisory committee or an essential advisory committee is that that is comprised of the governments of the world, what we call the Government Advisory Committee. Now, if you think about that, what happens is the process percolates up in what we call a bottom-up way through the GNSO. There's lots of hard work done on it. We refer it to the board. The GAC comes in and gives advice, and that potentially puts us in a very difficult position if the advice in some way contradicts or goes against the GNSO policy. That's been recognized as a structural challenge within the ICANN model. And we've done some really interesting work over the last few months where we've begun to work with the GAC in what we've called a consultation group. And the GNSO and the GAC are working actively on looking at what we call early engagement in the GNSO policy process. Now, we didn't invent this thought. It came from a number of sources. One, it was clearly a concern to us that our policy could potentially be, in a sense, derailed at the last minute by advice prior to board approval. But significantly, it was also picked up in one of the numerous review processes that ICANN goes through to ensure its improved accountability and transparency, and we call that the accountability and transparency review teams. So in doing their work, both, in fact, the accountability and transparency review teams picked up on this issue and made reference to the fact that we could potentially better work with the GAC by bringing them into the policy development process early. So I'm in political speak, cautiously optimistic that we're going to at least improve this position. And so it's an exciting time as we begin to do this. And one of the outcomes of London was that we agreed that we would put in place a GNSO liaison to the GAC. And one of the purposes of that is to ensure that the GAC has a ready availability of information of work being done on policy in the GNSO, can get that information firsthand from a GNSO person and understand the implications, in particular for the GAC, the prospective public policy implications. So it's exciting times, and I'm very positive about that piece of work.